Well, the interesting thing that I have heard thus far is there was backlash, I would say, with many of the YouTube commentators out there in regards to Michael Waldron being brought on to do the Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
And I have had some sources reach out to me, and I wonder if Script can speak to this. I don't have an ability to confirm these things, but I've had multiple people reach out to me and say that actually what is going on here is that Kate Herron, who was over Loki season 1, that she was the driving force for destroying the quality of season 1, and that Michael Waldron really was given 2 impossible tasks. Task number 1 was to check all the boxes that Feige wanted for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And impossible task number 2 was to deal with Miss Herron when it came to the Loki season 1. Now, apparently, if you want to see Michael Waldron unfiltered, the first 2 episodes of Loki season 1 are just what he was up to. And then Kate Herron apparently had her hand significantly on the rest. I don't know if that's true or not, but what I'm being cautioned about from some sources that I trust who are not usually eager to defend Marvel, but they are cautioning me, saying, don't judge too harshly Michael Waldron. The fact that Marvel doesn't seem to be going forward with Kate Herron, who may have had some disagreements with him, the fact that they're parting ways with her, it would seem, may indicate that they're getting the message and they may let him do what he has always wanted to do, but has been restricted from doing so. Does that make sense? Script, have you heard anything similar to that?
I heard that Kate Herron was out after the first season. We know that because she didn't come back to direct season 2. Michael Waldron, actually, his Rick and Morty episodes are pretty good, and he also created the show Heels on Stars, which is actually a lot better than you'd ever expect it to be. So when he doesn't have anyone over his shoulder pushing certain ideologies that he has to incorporate into his work, he's actually quite a competent writer, and a decent one at that.
So take it, I'm not quick to jump to Marvel's defense here, and I hate to go against the grain sometimes, but I think that Michael Waldron may have been one of those individuals who kind of got slimed, that he was being encumbered by the Victoria Alonso style Kate Herron's, and he may actually have some tricks up his sleeve, and I'm glad to hear Script say that.
Well, here's the other aspect, too, when it comes to the Disney Plus series, is that they didn't officially have showrunners on there. They had directors which controlled the narrative, and the writers were basically on assignment. So that is why we had such weird contentions when it came to WandaVision and all the other Disney Plus shows. Whatever directors and whatever Kevin Feige was trying to do, that was the narrative drive that was going on. That's now changed on the streaming side of things with the new MBA from the WGA agreement. The other aspect, too, is that you don't have to defend Marvel at all in this context. Marvel still has their own mandates of what they want to do. They always push what they want to do on the writers to do them. That's part of the job. It's an assignment job, which means that if you have the best pitch that fits in line with their agendas, you're going to get the job. Now, Michael Waldron might be lockstep with their agendas, but he also has enough talent where he could probably mask them in nuance. So that's not so much of a pontification of these ideologies, but actually leads into a compelling story that entertains. He has an ability like that. Him and Tim O'Malley on Heels. Again, I'm going to push this show because it was way better than it had any right to be. And it's him without Disney or any type of agenda-driven studio over his shoulder. And if he can deliver something that's good, that it's hard for people to watch, because again, not a whole lot of people watch Stars. Stars doesn't put a whole lot of money behind the advertising of their shows. That usually says something.
Michael Waldron, yes, thumbs up, thumbs down?
It depends on who's looking over his shoulder. When
Okay.
he doesn't have anyone looking over his shoulder, he's a thumbs up. And is on his way. But given
thumbs up his butt.
Well, given what Marvel is doing, that's where the thumbs will be, right, Tom?
That's where they want them. So yeah. But yeah, no. Anyway, Andre, Michael Waldron has been tapped to now try and,
speaking of thumbs up,
disseminate all of this Avengers / Loki / Kang business.
He has indeed, because they still refer to the movie as because he was always writing Avengers: Secret Wars, and now he is also writing Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. However, I submit, I don't know this. This is just like what I conclude based on everything I have heard from Tom, everything I've heard myself, everything I've heard from WDW Pro and other places, plus what I blatantly read in the news right now. I think that at this point, the Kang Dynasty is but a working title. And this movie is going to be all about setting up whatever happens in between Deadpool 3 and Secret War. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with Kang. If anything, it's going to be more about Loki, maybe setting up the Beyonder. Hell, maybe even it'll be devoted more to Doctor Doom. That's what I think. But at this point, Kang
Victoria.
Dynasty is just a stand-in title, and we'll get a real title in a few months or something. W Pro, I know you only have limited time, so what do you make of this? What have you heard about this move? I'd love to hear that, so the rest of us can discuss your news on this.
Well, no, I think you're exactly right. I think that what's going to happen here is up in the air, because we've come out of all of the strikes, and now we've got a new writer. He's a new old writer, of course. He's worked with Marvel before, and some of his works, as we talked about earlier in this program, may have been subjugated a bit by people who were not interested in the path that he wanted to take. I think Script Doctor spoke well to that. We'll see how he performs in this regard, but one of the things we've been watching carefully is that, according to my sources, we can't corroborate this 100%, but I believe that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU, and I think Jeremy Renner is coming back to the MCU. Now, Chris Evans was asked about this. He said he hadn't heard anything about it, and I suspect that lines up well with us saying, hey, these are the two that we think have got some paperwork. I don't think that Chris Evans has that paperwork yet, but I suspect that he will in the future. And I also don't suspect that when these guys are signed on and when they're ready to come back and play the parts, I don't suspect they're going to confirm it when reporters go up to and ask them and say, hey, why don't you spoil your big cameo coming up in the MCU? I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to do what we know they'll often do, which is to defer or say they don't know anything about it. The same thing that we saw out of Andrew Garfield, and rightfully so. But I think you're exactly right. I don't think that Kang drives anybody to the box office. I don't think anybody new playing Kang is going to do so. And so they're going to need to do that pivot. Don't forget what Tom said needs to go on the shirt and the mug. And I think one of the things they're going to do here almost assuredly is they have to go back to their all-star roster. Doesn't matter how much they have to pay. Doesn't matter what they have to do. They've got to save the MCU, because this cannot become Star Wars 2.0. In the month of November, the Walt Disney Company lost $500 million at the box office off of Disney Animation and off of the Marvels. But what is often completely evaded in the press is, you know how much they made off of Star Wars at the box office in the last few years? Zero, not a none, because they're so scared to put anything out that has Star Wars on it. And that really should say something when they're losing $500 million in a single month, and there's still another franchise that they fear more to put out there. Marvel can't become Star Wars. It can't become unreleasable. They got to go back to the stars, the A-listers who sell the merchandise and get kids to come back into the theaters.
Well, Jeremy Renner's next movie is going to be Hawkeye versus the Snow Grooming Machine.
I sincerely hope that there's going to be like a snow grooming machine in the next Avengers movie, wherever he shows up next. I mean, that's a joke.
If he flips off a snow machine, if he flips off a snowplow, I will go to the movie 10 times just for that.
Or at least he has to like look at it sideways. Before,
yes,
we meet
10 tickets. I promise, 10 tickets. I'll donate them to orphans. Make it happen.
He'll probably blow it up with an arrow to just disarm a bunch of enemies. That'd be
20 tickets.
No. That would be cheating. He needs to like look at it sideways, and then he needs to take it back and use it as a weapon against someone else. It can't be so petty as him blowing it up.
Or a transformer. Get a transformer as a snow grooming
like
machine.
No. He needs to get back on that thing. He needs to conquer it, and he's like, yeah, I won in the end.
Very inside joke, but could work.
Very inside joke.
It's an inside joke, but it's such a widely publicized inside joke that it would completely work. I mean, it's no more than Tony Stark going like the way that he reacted to Rhodey 2.0 in Iron Man 2. It would be no worse than that. It's kind of like something that's like such a big thing. You just have to do it in a sense. It's too good an opportunity to miss. Wouldn't detract from the movie, but it would greatly add to it.
You know, I'm just always reminded of Rachel Zegler being so rude and crude and vile about Jeremy Renner, and then we find out that Jeremy Renner is brave enough to throw someone out of the way of a snowplow and be run over by it. And I can only conclude that surely Rachel Zegler would be willing to do the same. I'm just sure of it.
She can barely lift salad.
Right.
Well, iceberg lettuce can be heavy depending on the moisture density.
It's a lot of weight in that.
A lot of moisture content in icebergs.
But no, like at the end of the day, I mean, if you hire a bunch of Rick and Morty writers, why are you surprised that your series of films has turned out to be a joke?
Very good question.
I mean, this goes right back to the core problem we've been saying from the start. The early Marvel universe worked because you had people who knew how to make good films. They didn't even have to be comic book fans. I guarantee you Kenneth Branagh gives shit all about Spider-Man. The only Thor he probably knew of was the Greek original tale. He probably had no idea. Yeah, or Norse, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me on that one.
We are unfortunately losing WDW.
But okay, so go ahead and...
But not before Pro says that, Tom, you have an ally in Hollywood that you probably would never have thought of. Iman Vellani, Miss Marvel herself, has come out and said that it's the writing. That's what needs to change. And
she is a very sound young woman. Very sound.
I'm telling you, we got to protect her before they Gina Carano her right out of Hollywood.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.